Good evening, everybody. I'm Jackson Boland. Thank you for joining us, and you're watching K10 News at 10. Yeah, that's right, Brendan. As for tonight, there is plenty to celebrate. Plainview got off to a hot start, scoring 21 points in the first quarter. It was almost like the players were eavesdropping when we talked to Coach just a little bit before the game. When you think of the Me Too movement, you probably think of all the celebrities' names who have been associated with it. But it's important to remember how this movement is affecting the workplace. And amid this coronavirus outbreak, scammers are preying on our fears, cashing in by taking advantage of ways we're all trying to stay safe. What a finish indeed, Brendan. I mean, it was just one of those things you kind of had to see to believe. I saw it myself, and I mean, I still don't believe it. It was just that wild of a finish. After hearing some comments and concerns from pet owners, the Ardmore Parks and Rec Department has decided to divide its dog park. One area being for the larger dogs and another area being for smaller dogs. Well, it was quite the party here, Brendan, just a couple minutes ago. Confetti is all over the field right now, and I'm here with the man everyone wants to hear from, Coach Joe Price of the Plainview Indians. The Medill Police Department is urging people of Marshall County to be a little more careful whenever they use their credit cards to fill up for gas. As we speak, lawmakers are scrambling to get back to Capitol Hill. Some are driving overnight after word that the $2 trillion plan, including checks for Americans, may be in jeopardy. In an abundance of caution, Tracy Potts is reporting from her home this morning near Washington with the late-breaking details. And turning to weather, we're seeing some cooler temperatures, but could also see some rain chances, it looks like. Meteorologist Amber Nowaski is in the Weather Center with more. Thank you, Amber. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has tested positive for the new coronavirus, but remains in charge of the UK's response to the outbreak. He said he can continue to communicate with his team thanks to, quote, the wizardry of modern technology, and he's leading the fight against the coronavirus. More than 3 million Americans applied for unemployment benefits last week, more than quadruple the previous record set way back in 1982, when 695,000 people filed for benefits. The massive spike in new jobless claims comes as nationwide lockdowns to halt the spread of the coronavirus have kept Americans from their jobs. According to the Labor Department, only 282,000 people filed for unemployment in the previous week before the lockdowns began. Some experts say today's numbers only reflect the tip of the iceberg and expect jobless claims to increase in the coming weeks. Soper Public Schools in Choctaw County confirming one of their students has tested positive for COVID-19. Superintendent Dr. Scott Van Werth says the elementary age student is doing just fine, and just Wednesday, Oklahoma's Board of Education voted to close campuses for the rest of the semester and students be taught from home. The latest numbers on confirmed cases for both Oklahoma and Texas. Oklahoma sits at 249 confirmed cases and only 7 deaths. There's 1,396 confirmed cases in Texas and only 18 deaths. And for the very latest on numbers, you can head to our website, k10.com. And still to come on K10 News at midday, in Minnesota, some residents woke up to a blessing in their mailboxes. We have those details for you. And of course, Amber's going to take a look at the full forecast when K10 News Midday comes back. The Davis football team, along with others outside Arbuckle Fried Pies, came away a little starstruck Friday afternoon as former Oklahoma Sooner linebacker Brian Bosworth made a guest appearance. The Bos was there on behalf of Dr. Pepper's Fansville campaign ahead of the Red River Shootout this weekend.
Man, it's been amazing. As soon as I pulled up, there was a line down the street, around the corner, and I knew those people had been there because they opened up at 7.
Bosworth isn't only a former Sooner, he's also the sheriff of Fansville, and for him getting the pit stop set up in Davis was something special.
It's a blessing to be able to come back home and be part of the just interaction with people, especially the fans.
The Bos hung around all day shaking hands and meeting fans. He even shared some of his best memories from his days competing in the Red River Shootout.
To me, that was one of the main reasons I came to Oklahoma, was an opportunity to play in the Cotton Bowl because of the rivalry. I'm born here in Oklahoma.
It was certainly a day and an experience that those who were there will never forget.
It's a little unreal. It's a little exciting to see him kind of in our town in this kind of setting where we're not used to famous people very much.
In Davis, Jackson Boland, K10 News. Google says it's donating more than $800 million as part of its coronavirus response. Most of those donations coming in the form of free advertising. The tech company says it is giving the World Health Organization and global government agencies $250 million in ad grants to share information on how to battle the spread of the virus. It's also offering ad credits to small and medium-sized businesses. Google also says it's working with one of its suppliers to produce up to 3 million masks in the coming weeks to donate to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. GM is cutting pay for salaried workers amid the coronavirus pandemic. The company told about 69,000 employees globally that it will temporarily cut 20% of their salaries. The reduced pay, which begins on Wednesday, will be repaid in a lump sum with interest next year. GM said about 6,500 U.S. employees who can't work from home will go on paid leave. The material used to make Major League Baseball uniforms is now being used to create masks and hospital gowns for medical professionals. The company Fanatics has stopped making MLB jerseys in its manufacturing plant in Pennsylvania. Its goal now is to create up to 1 million masks and gowns. And the first ones stitched together have a distinctive team look. They're featuring the classic pinstripes of the Phillies and Yankees. And still to come on K10 News at 5, Texoma Senior Night continues as Remy shares the story of a couple seniors from Sherman. That's coming up next in sports. After a tragic 4th of July in which Turner Falls saw 2 drownings in 2 days, the park is taking steps to make it safer.
We've got new signs going up today. And what those signs are is warning. It's a picture depiction showing where you go from a shallower area to a deeper area, and it warns of steep drop-offs.
Despite a scary 4th of July weekend, people aren't shying away from visiting the park. Haval Cindy came to Turner Falls Thursday afternoon and is even commending the park for its safety efforts.
You know, a lot of people are probably scared now, but, you know, it just shows you the maturity of the park and the people. They want to make sure everybody's safe, you know.
Cindy says he always becomes a little more self-aware when visiting places like Turner Falls, so he doesn't become a victim himself.
I'm a pretty good swimmer, but, you know, I keep my cautions. I know my limits. I know where I can go swimming, where I shouldn't go swimming.
The park currently has no lifeguards on staff, but it isn't for lack of trying.
We advertised, and nobody, when I say we can't get them, nobody applies.
Turner Falls isn't giving up. They're looking at other ways to bring lifeguards into the park.
We are looking into the possibility of and cost, and I mean, if it's even possible to contract lifeguards to a company.
In Davis, Jackson Boland, K10 News. The first Red River Shootout was nothing short of a classic, and for the first time in more than 100 years, the two teams are doing it all over again. The stakes may be higher with a Big 12 title on the line, but I found out the hatred toward each other is still the same.
They turned my stomach. I'm sorry. I just don't like Texas.
Most of the fans I spoke with today were Sooner fans coming from the OKC area, but one Longhorn fan I ran into was from a place no one would expect, Lincoln, Nebraska.
I've been a Texas fan since I was 8 years old. It's like the biggest game in a long time, so I'm just hoping we can beat them for the second time.
The Longhorns are looking for their first Big 12 title since 2009, and the Sooners are looking to play for something a little bit bigger than a conference championship. A win on Saturday could put the Sooners in the college football playoff, and one Sooner fan told me he's sure it will happen.
They'll be there.
What makes you say that?
Huh?
What makes you say that?
Because they're going to win.
Longhorn and Sooner fans may not have the same opinions on what they think the final score is going to be, but I was able to find some common ground between the fan bases. The horns down penalty.
It's petty. That is so snowflake, millennial. The Texas coach needs to grow up.
I think that they should let it go. Tradition, the long tradition states that they should be able to do it with that penalty.
In Gainesville, Jackson Boland, K10 News.